And we're live on FaceTime.
Facebook Live
Facebook Live
by Zoom.
by Zoom. I am in West Bloomfield. David is floating over the clouds of
Flying
Cadillac.
somewhere.
You're flying
I
somewhere.
believe I can fly.
Oh God, you're not going to sing.
No, I'm not going to
Nobody,
sing.
nobody will join us.
Last time I sung anywhere at a karaoke bar, if you ever want to see people rushing for the door,
Yeah,
invite me
that
to a karaoke.
rushing for the door, I wouldn't even go to the mic. I definitely get a lot of great traits from my mom. The singing is the trait that is not worth talking about that I got from her. But I have David Fishman of Cadillac Travel. You might be one of my longest standing clients. You might win that award.
Yep, well, that's good to know, even though
That may
I'm a
be
sitting client right now.
your
But
sitting
thank you.
longest standing sitting client.
With my
But
like travel.
um, David, we have talked many times during COVID-19, um, and we'll keep talking because things change. I mean, the travel industry as a whole changes so rapidly without COVID,
Right,
things
it's true.
going on. And like since March, travel, like the minute this happened, I mean, things on a daily basis were changing. Then I think things, became this sort of calm, but now things are percolating again. I think people are feeling a little bit more comfortable. Your phone is starting to ring a little bit. One of the things I definitely want to talk about right off the bat is the feeling that it's going to be September soon. Um, and let's talk in our house, we have adult children. And so the one time a year we can maybe get everyone together is that December holiday. Um, Kids going back to college know when their break is now. So tell me about are we going to be able to go away at Christmas time, the holidays, New Year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just depends on um, where you want to go. Like, because people have already been, we've had people that we've sent to the Mine Riviera. We've had people we sent to Jamaica and Punta Cana. So there are a number of spots, as well as a ton of domestic travel, whether it be up north of Michigan or out west or down to Florida. Even though even some of the hot spots people are still go to because they might rent a home and they stay in that home or something. But or they may take RVs and drive to different parts of the country. So it there is going to be availability to do things in Christmas. Could it change? Absolutely. That's the one thing. But what's important is to work with a travel professional or work with someone that knows what the rules are and knows about what we can do for helping you with your flexibility and comfort with making a reservation to make sure that you're not going to lose your money, make sure you have the proper insurance and are booking with the right tour operators that are going to protect you and give you the greatest flexibility right now.
I want to say right off the bat, insurance doesn't mean checking the box on the Delta thing that says, and I say that a lot because I think that was the insurance that most of us were sort of used to up until about 5 months ago. I mean, unless you were a traveler overseas a lot, you were used to checking the box going, yeah, I'll take that $14 insurance. What the heck, But you're talking about something far different.
Well, travel insurance has always been, we felt, very important for the traveler, but it's become even of greater importance due to obviously with the pandemic and what's going on right now. The irony is that pandemic wasn't covered under travel insurances and probably never will be covered under travel insurances. But what is covered under travel insurances for pandemics is a lot of them have canceled for any reason. Some of them have already eliminated that because they're all panicked. But there's still very reliable A plus travel insurance companies that have this type of coverage. And then some countries and hotels and different operators are actually requiring you to take the insurance right now. In particular, if you were to go somewhere and to get sick. The other thing is people are worried about, well, how do I get home, or what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, most, so if not all, the insurances that you will choose will have medevac. And what medevac is if you're sick, they will medevac you out of that country home. Okay.
Well, you shared with me that's just not out of the country. That could be if you were sharing with me last week, we were talking about this, that could be if you're anywhere.
Yeah. Oh no, anywhere in the world, if
Yeah.
you have a serious situation, that coverage is invaluable because it
Mm-hmm.
will fly you home or fly you to the doctors that that where you want to go to see
Mm-hmm.
the right doctors to make sure you're going to be okay. And that's really what's important. Is those two pieces are truly important, including if you are somewhere out of the country, let's say, and they don't speak English and you don't understand them.
Mm-hmm.
There includes the idea that you'll have people to translate, have English speaking doctors or someone to translate for you. So you can communicate, because the stress alone of being ill, but then not being
Absolutely.
able to communicate. So when you add in all the benefits of what it brings you from really a pretty low cost in
Mm-hmm.
regards to the cost of your trip, that peace of mind is completely invaluable at this point in time.
You just said something that you and I talk about a lot, and it's called peace of mind. I feel it should be almost any travel agent's tagline, but you and I talk about it all the time. I still don't understand why people don't use a travel agent. Um, Thank you for changing. I wanted you to land out of the clouds.
I had
But
to land on, but I wanted warm weather and a little
yeah,
beach,
exactly.
ocean. So
It's warm here, believe me. But that peace of mind is, I think, that's invaluable because especially now, and so I know it's been hard to sort of restart the travel industry and it will take a while, but I think that I can't stress enough, and yes, I'm biased, you're my client, and but the truth of the matter is that when I was a little girl and before the internet, I used to laugh saying our travel agent was part of our family. We traveled a lot as kids. My mom did a lot of research into places, but you relied on your travel agent as well. And so I grew up knowing how your travel agent was part of your family. And the truth is now more than ever, we do want to travel. So how to travel safely? You and I were just talking offline. The CDC changes its rules um, because things are sometimes in a country, things are better.
right, I
Sometimes.
mean, right, I mean, and actually, sometimes those rules are guidelines.
Mhm.
Meaning, so people might say, oh, the CDC said, well, that's great if the CDC says that you don't have to quarantine, let's say after now when you go out of the country and come back. But the reality is if you go to certain states, if you go out of the country and come back, they'll make you quarantine anyways. And
Right.
if you go to certain countries, whether CDC says or not that you don't have to quarantine, you might have to quarantine when you go to those countries. So it's really important to have an advocate that's also helping you walk through and know what the rules are going to be, even though it could change. And that's where
Yeah.
the travel insurance and other flexibility will be very important. But knowing when you originally make your plans that this is open, or you don't have to go there and be quarantined. Because if you plan on going for a week and you go there and you have to be quarantined for 14 days, that doesn't work. I'm
Right.
just saying.
Yeah.
So
It's just the inside of a hotel all the way across the country, isn't it? Across. So tell me a little bit about the phone calls right now. Where are they excited to go um, come this winter? What are you getting inquiries about?
they want to leave their house first and foremost. So, which is why it's really important that one of the things that I'm starting to get requests for, because the latest and greatest is the fact that the kids are going to be back at home for at least a portion of the school year. They're going to be back online, which means that in the wintertime in Michigan, starting out in March, it's still March and April. So it started to get warm. We actually had a pretty warm spring, so people were getting outside. So it didn't feel that bad. But let's start getting into December, no, in January, and no one could go outside really or want to go outside. the big joke is everyone in Michigan hibernates and they don't see their friends until the
Right.
spring and things start to thaw. So what we're getting requests for is people want to maybe go away for a period of time, maybe rent a house in a warm weather destination, whether it be Florida, Arizona, Texas, California, someplace warm. We're going to start to get some requests for long-term rentals. And then even some of the tour operators are doing like a 2-week stay where they have a business center so you can get out of your room and the kids can go outside, but they can have good Wi-Fi and they can have an area where they can, be online and taking their classes while you're working on your business, and they have supervision and they have the social distancing. So even for a week or two, the idea that you can go somewhere, even when the kids are in school, and still have the kids in school, but get outside, in the evening, or get outside when they're done with school, get outside when you're done with work, and swim and walk around and bike and do things. Because in Michigan in the winter, we don't do that often, unfortunately.
Unless you're a big, snowshoer. Um, but I think you hit on something really interesting in our changing world. And that is that, a lot of the universities are going to be done at Thanksgiving, not going back, even if they're in person, which allows, parents of college age kids or kids who are at home to sort of leave before that's really the start of a season. So some people can sneak out of town a little earlier to bring down costs, which is, I know, like, it was a conversation in our house. I was like, wow, if our kids were in school, we could get out of here in November, really extend that vacation. They're still going to school, but, have laptop will travel. Again,
you could go to school on the plane.
No.
Kind of novel idea. It's like, what are you doing? I'm in class right now, Dad. Don't bother me.
Right.
Mom, I'm working on my algebra. So.
Well, again, we're talking about people in an economic state that can afford to do this, or are starting to research things that, some of this is, relatively speaking, not terribly expensive. We often look at, when you look at an Airbnb, we're not big breakfast eaters, we're not huge lunch eaters, and if we're sitting at a beach. So, being in a place where we can control our own meals, as opposed to the all you can eat, which isn't, is interesting, is an interesting concept, right now for people. And everybody has different travel kind of wants.
Here's the thing that's kind of interesting, because you mentioned that, we don't, we have the lunches, or we don't eat that much. But here's the other thing that is an interesting curve. So like I was saying, get away for a week or two while your kids and you are still working, but go to an all-inclusive resort, for example. Like the El Dorado had a really good deal. It's like starting out at $8.99 for 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
For per person, which was amazing, for the land only, not the air.
Mm-hmm.
But the concept is the other thing is you're tired of grocery shopping and you're tired of cooking for your kids.
Well, that's why I said everybody has their different, like their different wants and needs. Like I'm funny where, like, sometimes when I'm away, I actually don't mind cooking then, as opposed to I'm so over it here.
Really?
Yeah.
So
I've been in that position where I'm away and I'm like, you're just more relaxed and you enjoy it. But no, there's nothing like being pampered at an all-inclusive where you just sort of stroll up, or when you have your 3 kids with you and you're like, I don't want to hear about it. Go find a restaurant, enjoy. So no, there's no question about that.
So like on an economic basis, for example, because I was just, I'm going to post a video this week. I went over to General RV, who I work with on rentals and selling RVs. You can buy an RV from me. I'm an RV dealer. Who knew? So I went through all the different levels, and what was really quite eye-opening for me is if you purchase an RV, you can come in for less than it would cost you to have a cell phone on a towable one. And then when you start getting into the actual mobile home ones, there's a 30-foot RV, sleeps 4 to 6 people, especially smaller kids, a family, comfortably, and you can start getting in at about $600, $700 a month. And I'm thinking, that's unbelievable, because a
Yeah,
family of four to go away for any extended period of time, you would spend it almost in one vacation.
of
Now you got the
course.
whole year to use it. So you could drive someplace
Hmm.
and even have, your Wi-Fi and everything, and have your RV and travel the country while you're still in school.
Yeah.
So there's some economic possibilities for people who, maybe I can't afford to go rent a house for 3 months somewhere, but I can get an RV and drive and plug in and have the whole family in a warm weather destination. Or if we love up north in Michigan, and do snowshoeing, skiing, everything when we're out of school. But once again, so your hotel, your home, like an RV lifestyle, your home on wheels, you know.
So you know what's interesting, David? You and I talk about this all the time. So it's, anybody listening, it's like, this is just a normal conversation for you and I. But I think for some people, they might find it really strange that this is what a travel agent does.
Oh, well,
Meaning, like, I have this idea. I want to take an RV trip.
right.
I want to, and they're like, they think, oh, I should go call the RV guy down the street. And what they don't realize is what a wealth of information and planning Cadillac Travel in Southfield is, because, I've always said this about you and your company. You're not just, hi, I need a flight on Delta to New York. That isn't, you often would say, really, truly, don't do it, but you could do that yourself.
Well, my first of all, we're a completely full service travel management company, so we can do your vacations, your groups, your corporate travel, your RVs, your private homes, your
I,
private planes,
I think
your
that's really
commercial.
important to,
Yeah,
to really bring out right now, because everybody during this pandemic, if they're smart like you are, you're thinking differently. You're taking your 37-year-old business, but also pivoting, as I've said all along, adapting, which I say all along. And, who would have thought a year ago you would be talking a lot about RV trips and
yeah,
private homes?
right. I mean, it was. It's not like we didn't do it, because a
Right.
lot of people would go out west and want to take an RV with the family through
Mhm.
some of the national parks and go through that, which is a fantastic family trip. Which might be another great thing to do. Imagine going and staying in a national park while you're going to school and working.
Right.
Wow. But here's the thing: the people have had too much, not too much time on their hands. I shouldn't say, just a little bit more time where they're not out and about as much as they used to be, and also together even more. So what occurs with that is that you start having everyone, when we got this thing here. Oh, whoops, you can't see it. I like that. It's there. It's magic. So you have your phone, you have your computer and everything. So all of a sudden, you know, people become experts. And that can be something that can be dangerous sometimes, because thinking that you know something because you read it online or looked it up online is not always the best thing, especially in regards to travel, because they're going to present their best foot. They're going to put their best presentation on something. You know, one of a line that I always liked is, they're going to put lipstick on a pig. Okay. And like I would say, if you go to a hotel site and they never show a picture of a room, Ori, okay? Things like that are really important. Besides knowing the pricing, is so much more flux in pricing in regards to travel, comparing to if I'm going to buy a pen, buy a cell phone, buy a shirt. You have an idea what that costs. Travel is, it's like the weather in Michigan, wait 5 minutes. It can change. So they have that person that's going through and navigating these waters, like that waters, for you.
Those waters.
Okay. Touche. is really important
Mm-hmm.
because you're spending your hard-earned money, okay, to have a vacation or have an experience that you want to be a good experience. And if you don't have someone there that's going to research that for you and get you the proper answers based on over 400, we got over four going on 500 years of destination knowledge in our office, tons of experience all over the world, and also planning on top of it, not only being there, but planning. So to have that is invaluable because, you know, I can diagnose you because I could go to WebMD and I also can get you a mortgage. I also can get you insurance. And the only thing I can't do is probably cut your hair, but I could probably figure out how to do that as well.
Well, that's not true. You could probably do a tutorial, but here's the thing. You don't want to. And
it could be really a bad look. Okay.
Right.
The bowl thing, it's not a great idea.
Not a good look. But I agree with you on that. And we talk about that. You need to use an expert. It's your hard-earned vacation time. It's your hard-earned moment out of your door. I don't care if it's a business trip. I don't care if it's a group trip. It's, whatever takes you out of the door, you need to let someone help you. And you and I laugh all the time because, we say this all the time that my husband thinks he's a travel agent. He plays an attorney by day, but, he enjoys the hunt. He enjoys searching the internet and looking. And I think as a joke.
Right. I say that go do the hunt.
Yeah.
And you can even kill it, but let me prepare it for you.
Right. And exactly, because the minute my husband starts coming home with, I found this, I found that, I go, I'm not listening. I can't hear you. I can't until you've talked to David. Then, here's the thing. You don't know if it's real on the internet. And as you and I both know and try and explain to my husband and other people, click, 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 makes you click, 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 click.
Well, that's how they make money.
And that's how they make money.
And I am a French model because I said so online. So
right.
Clearly.
And as my husband, who doesn't have social media, doesn't understand the clicking, but that's okay. We still love him anyway. But, the truth is that I think it's empowering to have some knowledge. If you go to the doctor and you say, I'm not feeling well because I think this or that, it's good, but, you're not performing surgery on yourself, nor do you want to walk in and tell your doctor what he should be doing. So
it's like the commercial with Kristen Bell's husband. I love the guy. They're a great couple. And his new commercial is, do it yourself.
Yeah.
And he goes, so I need to go to the urologist, and he puts in the glove. And I could do that myself. No, it's just, he goes, you know what? Maybe certain things you shouldn't do yourself. I'm just saying. So.
Right.
I love that.
Well, I know you're busy, so I'm going to let you go. But I think that one of the things I just want to stress, and if I miss something, you'll stop and tell me, but I do want to stress to people that I think more than ever right now, you're such a huge resource to what they may be dreaming about, what they're thinking about. Because I do think that people want to break out, they want to get out their doors. So if they're thinking about, how do I take my family for 3 weeks or a few weeks to a house so the kids can still go to school, but I can't take a Michigan winter or something, you don't have to search for a realtor that you don't know. I mean, this is an area that Cadillac Travel has, resources in, and it's your trusted travel agent that took your kids on a spring break or took you on your recent trip. It's just a different type of travel.
Right.
Possibly.
No, right now, we could talk about the importance of having an advocate, a professional helping you, whether it's with your PR, whether it's cutting your hair, whether it's, because and one of the things is relationships and getting to know and asking the right questions. I always say, I ask people what size shoe do they wear, and they go, what? I go, what size shoe? I go, I wear a size 7. I go, well, you don't mind if I give you a size 10, do you? That's what they do online. Right. So it's so imperative to work with a professional
Mm-hmm.
besides time, which now time is, ironically, people have less time even though they have more time. It's kind of bizarre because everyone
I
has to
agree.
try and come up with ideas and things to do when they didn't have to do that as much because you could go out and do things and now you got to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
So don't waste your time trying to figure things out. Find out what's going to work for you by working with a professional. And so you know that you're going to get your value out of it. It doesn't cost more. Matter of fact, most of the time it costs less. And you're going to get so much value and so much more peace of mind by using a professional for your travel needs. Or to be very honest, any businesses out there that, people, like you said, they don't want to be cooking every night. So restaurants are the professionals. They don't want to, they're trying to figure out social media or, get themselves on the news. Well, I'm talking to the professional. Okay. So these are the kind of things that it's really important right now to tap into the professionals. But the one thing I did want to mention though, before we get off is that
Yeah.
now that you do have your schedules
Right.
because of schools knowing what they're doing, whether it be college, high schools, middle schools, elementary school, everyone kind of has an idea of where they're landing right now. Make your plans. Do it now. Do not wait because you'll have the flexibility to cancel or the insurance to cancel so you can then have the peace of mind that you have something planned and you'll save money that way.
Is
So
there
we're
is
going to
there a
do that.
benefit, as we talked about earlier, like with these kids, that it seems to be that Thanksgiving they're all coming home and not going back, those that are physically in school. Is there a cost benefit to traveling at that point, or is it really season at that point and it just depends?
Well, there's seasonal travel is always the key, as well as destinations that perhaps you wouldn't go to during different times. Like you don't go to, people don't think of going to Europe in the wintertime. In this winter, ironically, if things settle down, Europe could be a fantastic place,
Mm-hmm.
ironically, to go away to. Time wise, depending on why, if it's a vacation compared to why you're in school, obviously there's time frames that don't work. But that being said, I think that the key is that there's soft spots. And if there's going to be greater flexibility on vacations, find the soft spots. Like the first week in December and second week in December after Thanksgiving is a soft spot. It always has been.
Yeah.
With the changes in things across the country and the world, that could change. That's why I'm saying
Yeah.
go do it. Because right now, they'll probably give it away. As soon as they find out that everyone wants it, they don't give it away anymore.
Right. And I think
And there's
that's what,
and there's going to be less flights.
right.
So as
So,
long and Delta said, for example, and this is our hub in Michigan, that they're going to keep that middle seat open all the way through December. So there's going to be less seats and less flights. That means higher prices. So
okay,
plan
so
ahead.
I think you also just said something that, because there's been some conversation about that, we know some airlines aren't keeping that middle seat or anything, but Delta really has, and has, for the most part, most of the articles in general are positive about airline travel because of how they clean that. So we've talked about that, but one of the things I have been reading is that Delta is going to go back to filling that middle seat, and that will be the first of the year, you're thinking?
We're talking about the first of the year.
Okay.
I think it's really important that I read an article, and it's kind of ironic that everyone thought the planes were the problem. Planes are not the problem because they wipe them down, they fog them now. You used to always walk down your own space. The planes people were so fastidious on making sure that their areas were clean and everything. And the irony is no one thought about the airport.
Yeah.
Where on the plane, most of the people are coming from one place and going to another place. In the airport, you got people from all over the places,
Right.
all over the country, all over the world, milling around,
Yeah.
spreading all those germs. So good news is that now I discovered I need to be more careful in the airport. The real good news is that now the airports aren't as crowded. So it'll allow you to feel and have more peace of mind in the airport itself,
Well, I
let
don't know
alone
if
the
that's good
planes.
for the travel industry, but it is true right now.
Right. But in the
Um,
future, I think people, what I'm saying is that
yeah.
think about your space in the future. They always said during cold and flu season, wash your hands before you
Right.
touch your nose, your mouth, and before you eat, and all those fun things. Well, that really is heightened at an airport, more
Yeah.
than any place else. So I think that's one of the best pieces of advice that I've gotten, ironically, through this whole thing, because I always thought it was the planes. Always.
Well, and if you think about it, I mean, there haven't been reports of COVID outbreaks on planes. If anything, there's been very good diligence of you're not wearing a mask. They pulled those planes back to the gates if they really feel. I mean, which is a tremendous effort on the airline's part.
Well, they're not supposed to allow anyone on right now. FAA and I believe CDC and the airlines are all saying you got to wear masks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not going to wear your mask, they're either going to not allow you on the plane or kick you off the plane. And the irony is, in some countries they wear masks all the time on planes, and
Right.
we used to look at them like they were crazy.
Right.
Now they could have been the smartest people around. Who knew?
Right.
So.
And you're right. I mean, I think in Detroit there was a lot of conversation when our first outbreak happened. There was a lot of conversation about that. Much of the outbreak came through our airport being so international and transitional. So, I mean, who's to say, but there certainly makes sense. There's, high amount of traffic and a lot of people from a lot of different places.
Yeah,
it says outbreak.
Right. It's
got
outbreak written all over it.
It does, but as you and I both agree, I am not a medical expert and won't even go there. So David, thanks a lot. I hound you a lot to come back on and talk because like we said from the very beginning, this travel industry has been hit the hardest. And I feel like there's the most amount of changes on a daily basis. There isn't a day you and I know of that a travel story isn't in the news, whether it's a local story, whether it's a national story played locally. And that looks like fun.
Had to go out west.
Yeah, to go out west.
Before it burns down, I got to get out there.
Oh my God, is that horrible?
Horrible.
Like,
you can't get a break. You got hurricanes over here.
I'm telling you, when is
over here? COVID
2021?
Got to get through 2020. I'm telling you.
But I just so appreciate you always because I find you to be the travel genius.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks for coming on, and everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody watching and listening, be sure to contact David Fishman or any of his travel agents who haven't stopped working. They are COVID friendly, COVID safe, and working very hard. And at Cadillac Travel in Southfield, been around.
248-358-5330. Phones are open now.
Okay, we're taking a bad turn. Love you. See you soon.
See you soon. Thanks. Bye.